All right. So happy Monday, everyone. Hopefully, everybody's doing fantastic. So today, November 18, we have Kara from Taking Care of Business or Leadership Coach, and John Acosta. Let's find some music. Let's put some music to get us happy. There you go. All right. Now, today we're gonna be talking about hobbies as a path of balance. Relax, refocus, and reach your goals. So we all always are talking about work, and the work-life balance, and let's hustle, and then. But today let's talk about hobbies and why are they important to you, and why you should, find one that fits you. Again, not just because everybody in the office goes to that place, you don't have to be there too. But here's the thing. Yeah, since you know that neuroscience, talk to us about what do you know about hobbies and how that helps us grow as a person, as an individual.
Yeah. Oh my God, it's great. I love this because it totally is a hidden thing that you can tap into. I don't know if anybody else hears the music cutting in and out, but it's really loud when it comes in. I'm just throwing that
I'm
out there.
so
I
sorry.
don't
Let me
like
go ahead and bring it
anything.
down.
No, you're good. Um,
Okay.
so neurologically, when you are doing hobbies, when you find something, define hobby, I suppose. So for me, I would define a hobby as the thing that you do that is tactile and some other something. So tactile and artsy, tactile and productive, tactile. I mean, right. So and something you enjoy doing. So it could be swimming, could be dancing, could be picking up, painting rocks. There are so many options for what that could be, but it's typically a tactile thing that you do. And the reason this is so beneficial is because essentially what you are doing is practicing your longest skill when you do this. The very first skill that any of us learned how to learn, we learned how to play, right? So
Yep.
anything that we have ever done in our life, the first thing that we do, either well or badly, is to look at what it takes to do the joining of the operations and the behaviors of whatever the thing is that we want to do. And then we figure out how to play at those so that we get good at it, right? Consistency and repetition is required for retention. We all logically know that. So that's how humans in general, that is the experience, right? That is the path of learning. That is how you grow and develop new skills, and that is the skill of developing skills. So hobbies are a really cool way to build your skills doing something you love. And the leadership bonus and the life alignment rather than balance bonus is those hobbies often, because they are so tactile, can in their own way become a revenue stream or a continual practice that builds in its efficiency. I mean, all of those are things that happen when you take up hobbies.
Yep. And one of the things that I love what you mentioned is that they're tactile. You know, I understand that there's people that have a hobby of reading, but even if they're reading, they're touching the computer, they're touching something. They're in, and that's one of the things. It activates one of the senses that we usually, I think, we keep it on autopilot, or at least I think like that because we wake up, we brush our teeth. So you're not really thinking about brushing teeth because you've been doing it for so many years, like repetitive. You take a shower, you make breakfast, you go to the car, but your mind is not connected to what you're doing because you're running on autopilot. And that's one of the things that I love about talking about hobbies, because when we get started with something that you love or you're passionate about, you not only engage your brain in all this dopamine and happiness comes to you, it's also the thing that you now have to coordinate things. One of the things that I do, as some of you already know, is that I have a dance studio. And I was listening the other day to a lady from Spain that they have in the university somebody that studies the neuroscience of dancing.
Oh,
It is actually a career.
yeah.
So I'm like, what? It's a career in Spain? Like, why? So I started researching a little bit, and turns out that not only it connects you with your body, it connects you with the other person.
Yeah.
And studies show that when you're dancing with somebody, in some cases or most cases, the beat of the hearts sync while dancing,
Mhm.
creating that connection with that other person. So hobbies will get you to look at life different. I don't know if has happened to any of you. It happens to me more often than not. I'm having a situation and I'm stressed and I cannot seem to find for the life of me the answer. Guess what? I go to my hobby, I do something else, something and completely disconnect. And guess what? It's right under my nose. The answer was there all along. So one of the things that I like to ask to you, Kara, you deal with leaders all day. And we all are talking about that you have to be laser focused and put a ton of action and this and that. And, and
Yeah.
at what time or how do they take care of themselves?
Yeah. Um, my favorite answer to that when I hear that is like, well, it's all about productivity, right? It's all about productivity. I'm like, yes, absolutely not at all. Which gets confusing. It parallels, like, I'm a leadership coach. People are like, oh, so you do business coaching? Yes, absolutely not. Yes. And they're like, oh, so it's life coaching. I'm like, yes, totally not that at all either. Yeah. But it is those things, right? And that is why this topic parallels on so many different levels, because so much of our life is the same but different. And when we can be going down our normal pathways and find something to disrupt that pattern, our brains are designed for dynamic change and adaptation. So it steps up to the plate and it's like, ooh, new thing, shiny, let's try.
Yes. And that brings me to my next question. Is there any exercise that you teach your leaders to relax and refocus and
There
disconnect?
are so many. There are so, like, that is a huge portion of the practice that I do is handing out those tools. But I have a new addictive one that I totally
Oh, I like
hyperfixated
that.
on for the last month, and it's pretty cool. Okay, so the vagus nerve, doing vagus nerve relaxation. So, science, here's the two steps back. The vagus nerve is the major nerve bundle that runs up your spine that connects all of your internal organs, like all of the behind the scenes team, to your brainstem so that it can automate the processes that have to go on. So you don't have to think about that. Like, that's what it's designed for. So what will happen is if you don't take care of your vagus nerve and it gets dysregulated, the rest of your brain like taps in and starts taking over some of the that way, because these are priority functions, right? We
Yes.
can't lose your heart or your kidneys. That's bad, right? And unfortunately, what happened when the CEO shows up at operations and tries to run the shift for the day is that you're the wrong person for the job, and there are miscommunications on a regular basis, and it's just harder. You become aware of things that are going on in your body in ways that you hadn't before, and that causes whole bunches of confusion because the wrong boss is running the wrong system.
Oh my God, I have a ton of questions for you on that one. Although we're gonna deviate a little bit from
Okay.
hobbies and balance. Keep going. Once you finish, I have a ton of questions.
Okay. Um, so activating your vagus nerve throughout your neck. There are a ton of vagus nerve practices. There is an eye and head turn one that is my current favorite, although, for fun fact, humming or singing or talking are all ways of activating because the nerve runs parallel to your vocal cords. So when you vibrate your vocal cords, you're actually strengthening and activating your vagus nerve, right? Um, This is why singing is so good. This makes a great hobby. um, this is why humming is built into a lot of other body modality and practices because it's activating that. But my current favorite one is an eye and neck one, where you turn with your eyes as far as you can to the left for like 30 seconds. So I'm not going to do it the whole 30 seconds. We don't have to go through that. But you do that, and then you come back to center. And then you do it with the other direction with just your eyes. So you're not turning your head, you're just looking like you're trying to look behind yourself. It will be slightly painful. And then you come back to center, and then you do it with your neck, and then your eyes, right? So you're really trying to look behind yourself, like owl it out. And you do that for another 30
Hmm.
seconds. Make sure you come back to center. Coming back to center is important. You need that alignment to allow it to relax. Otherwise, you will overstimulate. And then the other bosses come in and take charge. But now things are on fire and they make really bad life choices for the operations team. So definitely want to avoid that. Come back to center. And then you turn your head and look with your eyes again on the other side for 30 seconds. So within 2 minutes, you can re-stimulate. And it is, you do that little practice and then just take a couple of big breaths, and suddenly it's like, oh, suddenly your boss is
Hmm.
back in the desk doing its job. The operations team has gotten rid of the dead weight and is like, we're back, we got this. Cool, 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 cool. Go do you, go do you, go do you. And they do, they get up there and they start working with all the higher function stuff and things start flowing again.
Wow,
Total rabbit
that
hole.
makes a lot of sense. But you touched something without meaning that has been in my brain for a hot minute. A lot of not a lot of companies. A few companies have a CEO, a CFO, a COO, and they make very important decisions for the entire company. But you mentioned when the CEO tries to run the COO position, everything goes crazy. And I've noticed that I mean, the place that I've been where the CEO wears all the hats and is completely unaware the other ones should exist as well, is that they get this hyper focus, but to the point that it becomes stressful, not only for them, but for everybody else around it. Any suggestions on how to talk to those people and let them know nicely that their their strong suit is CEO and not COO or CFO or any of the other ones?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Um, okay, so what I heard you ask is when we run into those situations where we're really creating a command and control culture because our boss feels like they have to be king or queen and be in charge of all of the things, all of the time, everywhere, always. How do we address that situation? And so my favorite is with understanding, acceptance, and support. That is the order that I like to go in, or acceptance, understanding, and support, depending on if you already know the situation. So, understanding, hey, looks like you are spending a lot of time doing menial tasks that are outside of your area of genius, which seems like an extravagant use of your time. Um, is that, are you spending your time the way you want to spend it, which inevitably the answer is no, because anytime any of us spend time outside of our area of genius, that's the harder work of work. um, and then you're like, cool, so do do you want to spend more of your time in your area of genius? And then you have to find out what they think their area of genius is, because there is what we think somebody's area of genius is, and that may or may not align with what they think their area of genius is. And it's really important to make that distinction. There's what we think they're good at and what they think they're good at. Finding out what they think they're good at is the priority in highlighting how to bring this up and get it a change in place. Once you know what they think they're good at, you then start helping them brainstorm how to not do anything outside of that. What does that require? What would life be like if that is all they ever had to do? Ever. And then what would be needed to make that happen?
Okay. Yeah, that puts the ball in their court, and then for us to just deploy it. That's very, very. You see, that's why you're the leadership coach. That's it.
Yep. I mean, and that's. I know that seems like too simple. Like all you are literally doing is saying, "Hey, looks like you're unhappy. What could you do to be happier?" But that really, more often than not, highlighting the situation is all that it takes to remind somebody. I mean, we're all taught that we have to hustle, right? Like we all live under that command and control for what are we at, like 200 generations, something like that. When was the first king, or when was the first time somebody owned land and had that somebody else do the land work? Like that's how long this has been in our like literal genetics, right? At the genetical levels. Um,
Mhm.
right. So it's baked in. That's the thing. And but it's also not necessarily a comfortable way of being, and there are all other ways of being. And when you highlight that and then give someone permission to do things that they're good at for the good of everybody, I have yet to run into somebody who, when presented with that as an option, was like, well, that sounds terrible. Just haven't run into that myself. There may be somebody out there, but I don't know them.
That's good. Okay, and thank you for answering that question because me racking my brain because I see so many people that they're where they're amazing, they don't practice it enough because they're so worried that the ship is gonna sink if they're not holding every single thing on the ship,
Yeah,
and that is sometimes
worse.
crazy for any business.
Yeah,
hmm And that's why today I wanted to talk about hobbies and everything because that gets us out of the mindset of work. And hobby doesn't have to be, a specific event like dancing, or could be just as simple as having your life partner and going through fixing the house, cleaning the house, doing something that is out of the normal. Because let me tell you, you get to know your partner in life or your friends whenever you really have to do important things.
yeah,
Because when it's to go out, have party, drink, and they're all there. But it's when it's to do actual things that can empower you to be better and they disappear is when you really see it.
yeah,
So, and we tend to forget that as a society, where you're so used to, work is work, home is home, and from this side of the threshold of my house, I disconnect from work, and this from this side of the threshold of my house, I'm in work mode, and that is so crazy because
yeah,
do you ever relax? Do you ever have fun?
yeah, yeah. And like, is that why you got into this? Is this satisfying? Do you feel successful? Because it looks like burnout.
Yes, absolutely. It looks like burnout. And one of the things I love that the tool that you gave us earlier. One thing that I could recommend is it's just trying to be as quiet as you can under the shower. Close your eyes, and if you can do it with your lights off, it's so calming. Try to. I know that this is really hard for some people to get into their nothing box in their brain, but just try to concentrate on your breathing. You don't even have to think about positive thoughts, nothing. Just let the water sound be with you. That sometimes relaxes me a lot. So this could be a second tool. Kara gave us one great tool that I'm gonna give it a try tomorrow morning.
Oh, it's so good. Yeah. Yeah, 2 minutes and you will feel like a whole different person. I'm going to highlight yours with a follow up hobby because I think that's a
Okay.
really, what I heard you say is practicing the habit of stopping, like being somewhere warm and comfortable and quiet and then not, right? Which is a really, really good habit or practice to do. So in hula hooping, if you want to take it
Okay.
the right, so go with me on this. I Here's a story about me that other people might not know. I used to teach hula hooping at Burning Man.
Okay.
Yeah, 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 yep, yes. So when I taught hula hooping at Burning Man, I didn't know that I was actually developing one of my favorite leadership tools, as well as hobbies to share. So hula hooping. Um, the key lesson in hula hooping is actually counterintuitive, which is stillness, right? Because it's such an active thing to do that does not seem like the thing. However, what we would teach the students to do is to spin the hoop and resist moving, right? And just experience the movement of the hip, because the hoop, because when you try and like move the hoop, that actually hinders its natural spin. What you're trying to do is just make it keep going. It's really just like a couple of touch points. So you have to practice the stillness to be able to get to movement. So this concept mirrors the leadership principle that focusing on that internal work is what achieves the external work, and that means
Mhm.
practicing that stillness amongst discomfort allows us to, instead of reacting impulsively, that builds the habit of prioritizing being, not just doing, and allows us to cultivate a deeper sense of clarity and effective leadership and prioritization. So, for a fun hobby, hula hooping will teach you stillness.
Hmm, that is awesome. You know what's really funny? And this is one thing that I always say, that life is not hard. We make it complicated. Because a minute ago, I gave you that question about, the CEO and whatnot, and you gave me a very, like, simple solution, yet very applicable. We're talking about a way to disconnect so you can relax and get to enjoy yourself. And it was simple. Get in the shower. Everybody showers. I mean, I hope you do. Uh, I really hope you
We all appreciate it. Thank you.
do. Yes. And now the fact about the hula hooping, which is amazing to find out that you were doing hula hooping. The fact of the hula hooping, that you have to hold the urge of trying to move while you throw the hula around you. It is a really like simple, but we have that urge that we grab the hula hoop and we want to move and shake. And and same thing, believe it or not, same thing applies on dancing.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of clients they come to me and they try to make this move that they've seen either on TV or on YouTube, or but they're overly exaggerating the move because that's how it seemed or looked on TV or whatever they saw it. And when I demystify and tell them that it's just like when we're walking in, they're like, it looks a thousand times better. And they're like, why? How? And I'm like, simple. The beauty is on the simple.
Mm-hmm.
In
Mm-hmm.
in life, teaches us all that simple is good all the time. We just tend to like chase the rabbit through the little tiny hole, and we don't get too happy.
Yeah. Yeah. So in neuroscience, simple is not easy. We all know that. But in life is really simple, like on a neuroscience level. Like it really, not when you go read any of the studies, it sounds really complicated. But now we have AI. So ask it to rewrite it for you at third grade reading level. And let me tell you, most of it is really transparently simple, pretty straightforward. But we're not. Like humans are not. So like processes, and I feel like this is going to align with what you do, Johnny, with the marketing and the websites, right? Because the systems are relatively simple. However, people are not. And the way that we make these tiny micro alterations just to language, to image, to color, those little flavor pieces are what make us so vastly diverse and unique. Even though, I mean, on like a pretty standard level, it's really simple and pretty straightforward and exactly the same. It's just also completely different depending on color, texture, lighting.
Hmm. Yes, sometimes a very subtle change can make a design, can make a website, and then anything change. So yes, why am I or are we with Kara talking about simple? Because relaxing is simple. It's just that our brain is so loaded with everybody wanting you or wanting a piece of you or a piece of your mind, that your brain's like, okay, well, what point am I catching up with everything that everybody has and everybody wants? So just today, I was I was reading a book that made me realize that is the YouTube formula, although it has nothing to do with it, they were explaining how the media, the people that pay YouTube, which is everybody, all the sponsors that pay YouTube, how they compete for people's attention. It made me realize that although yes, your family is important, your health is important, your work is important, all those other factors of entertainment are asking your brain, give me 10 minutes, give me a minute, give me a second, give me this, give me that. And then at one point you think you're relaxing, you think you're finally catching up to relax. And truly all you did just open a new Pandora's box and just chase the rabbit again to the hole, and you never got to relax. That's why I gave my example of the shower, because everybody has a shower. Everybody, can take 2 minutes, because that's all it takes. 2 minutes for you to quiet your mind, breathe, focus on nothing. Just focus on the sound that you have around you. If you can have your eyes closed, even better. I find that when I do that, that reconnects me with life afterwards. It takes me a minute though, because like I said, my brain is being competing with catching up with everything else.
Yeah.
Mhm. And now, Kara, so I gave you a piece for relaxation. Kara gave us a tool for focusing, and everything else that reaching your goals becomes so much easier. Mm, what is the thing that you remember? If you remember anything recently that has happened that you were not even looking for anymore, and it just popped up out of nowhere?
I don't know if this applies correctly, but probably. So I have the Kara method framework, right? And I've been working on this for years, maybe even I would say over a decade, comprehensively, but really intentionally for the last 4 years. And there was just like the very last section. So the Kara method, we go from kidding to adulting, where we do the mapping of how systems are really simple, and then we go through spilling the tea and we talk about how humans complicate it, and then we like overcomplicate it for simplification, and we talk about mushrooms and ladders, and how ladders for leadership ladders become double helixes if you alter the way you think. It's fun. It's a fun dive. And at the end of it, I was the leadership ladder. I have not been satisfied with the in between the rungs. So the Kara method is the rungs of leadership, but the describing I had not simplified it enough for my happiness. I had gotten it down to two acronyms: evoking, lucky, which is really fun for marketing. But it wasn't. It was still two words that were actually 10 words. That was too much for me. So I stopped. I was like, you know what? I'm just going to set that down. I know all of the content, so I can still train and do it in the pieces where it applies. But we're gonna set this little section aside. And within 3 days of making that decision, I discovered the IDGs, which are the internal development goals that were made to help the UN with the Sustainable Development Goals. So backstory:
Mhm.
2015, the UN said, "Hey, here are 17 Sustainable Development Goals. If we move the mark on this, the humans will survive on the planet. These are going to be some important things." And they're really good. They came up with some great metrics. They said we should have an 80% or more application by 2030. This is going to be really important. I don't know that 80% was the number that they had, but it was there. We should be mostly done by 2030.
Mhm.
So they reevaluated in 2023, and they'd had a 12% cumulative growth in the 17 areas. And that was substantially lower than they anticipated it being, because they were like, this is good stuff. Everybody agrees. We're all on board. Why are we not making it? And they came to the conclusion that you can't get external results unless you do the internal work. I feel like this ties into hobbies, because part of that
Yeah.
internal work is finding the hobbies that allows you to deliver external results, such as a tangible skill or right. So you see where my brain is going here.
Mhm.
So the IDG, the internal development goals, there's 5 of them. First, you have to be. Turns out, if you can't figure yourself out, you're going to have a really hard time figuring out literally everything else. So you have to figure out how to be with yourself. Then the second step is that you're going to work on your cognitive skills, thinking, right? So it's being, then thinking, really nice and simple, right? And the thinking is what allows you to then start relating, which caring for other people in the world around you. And you have to do the relating before you can do the collaborating, which is that social work stuff where we do things together. And when you can achieve collaborating, then that's when you get to achieve those actionable, sustainable things, experiences, and tangibles that allow you to get external results. It's so simple. It's 5 steps. The 5 steps are exactly the ones I needed for the Kara method. Clarification is what happens between being and thinking, right? And between thinking and relating, that's where we should be doing all of our assessing from me to we, right? And then the between relating and collaborating, easy for you to say. In between relating and collaborating is where we realign, because we want to realign with, right? So that we can achieve those really high quality goals and experiences that get us what we want.
Yep.
Well, thank
And
you.
I love it because all of them are simple yet not easy, and even less easy or even harder to connect one with the other
Yeah,
among more than one person.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, well, that's why this is so exciting, and that's why hobbies, right? Tying this all in, that's why that's so exciting, because when I said that, all parts of that kind of fits together. You're like, yeah, no, that tracks with life. Okay, because you're a human, you're a meat suit full of hormone soup. This is an experience that is not abnormal to you. However, applying that, like the simple is not easy, because we're complicated and there are so many levels and nuances and changes and adaptations that happen within that realm. But that having that information allows you to decide where you need to develop, right? Which is sort of
Yes.
where you can then start inserting hobbies in a practical, tangible, life aligned with your work kind of way, rather than work life balance. You can just align it, and then your fun things that you enjoy, that you would do just because you would do them, also can be things that help you grow in other areas, making, well, life more fun.
Yes, absolutely. And giving you that, um, giving you these points that we talked about today is because all this takes us back to health. I know that last time we talked about health, and this is healthy. Relieving that stress is so healthy, and also it helps you grow, helps your mindset. One thing that I love about people, and there was study, I don't remember the name of the book. I think it's Creative or Mindset Creative, something like that. Uh, you know what? I can find that real quick. They did a study with kids, and the psychologist thought, thought that it's called Mindset: The New Psychology of Success, and
Yeah.
by Carol S. What? I hope I'm saying it right. Really, 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 really good book. It talks about how our mind is programmed to love challenges. It's They saw so many kids. They put so many kids on the test, and they thought that the second they give them something challenging, they were just gonna say, you know what, forget it. This is challenging. I don't want to do anything. I'd rather color or do whatever. No, kids were screaming of joy that they got something challenging to do. And I tend to believe that ourselves, we don't change that much from the time that we're kid. We just become more wise sometimes.
Or waited. Yeah.
So the thing is that it's really, really important for you to understand that your brain not only needs all these tools that we're giving you, but meet some challenges so they can start working and the manifestation of what you want starts happening. Your goals can be achieved. Now, with that said, Sarah, would you like to say anything else, or would you like to add anything else to wrap it up today?
Okay, here, for fun and recreation, since we're talking about learning with play, go check out Go Learn Play. Go play, learn, go learn, play. Oh no, I should find this. It's on YouTube, and they have a song. And the song is all about essentially how the brain works and that your abilities can be developed with dedication and effort. And it's very, very catchy. It has sort of a jazz punk feel to it. So go
Oh, I
and
like it.
I'll find the link and I'll come comment it so that we can find it. Um,
Please do.
yes, and and that and that is how I would give you permission to go forward from here today. Is that that's what I would leave you with, is permission to go find fun ways to do the things that you want to do. Like my spicy brain calls them fixations, but really I just get really excited about some information and I find funner and more funnerists of all of the ways to go learn more about it, because I was given permission as a kid to go enjoy learning, and not everybody was. So, permission to go make learning fun in whatever way that looks like for you. And if you're really not sure where to start, go look up BARC questionnaires. B is in Victor, A is in art, R is in writing, K is as in kinesthetic, because I should have just visual, it's visual, auditory, kinesthetic, or writing and kinesthetic, which are the four basic types of learning. So go take a VARC, there's a billion of the quizzes online. So just go take a VARC questionnaire, find out where your natural inclinations lie, and then go line that up with fun things that you thought maybe you should try, but were like, maybe when I have time, or, when I'm allowed, or whatever excuse you've been making to deny this to yourself. Give yourself permission to go start leveraging the way that you learn in one of those fun ways, because that is how you learn how to make learning fun.
Yes. And learning is so much fun. So much fun. If you find your niche, believe me, you'll be hooked. So, without further ado, I want to thank everybody for taking the time to watch our episode today. If you're watching this recorded, please feel free to leave us any questions, comments, anything that works for you to relax and reconnect or recenter. We'll love to hear that. And of course, we learn from each other. There's like a really name for that, for learning. And we will see you next Monday, 8 p.m. Eastern Time. And what time is it on the other side of the country?
5
Washington.
Pacific Standard Time.
5 Pacific Standard Time. So we'll see you guys soon. Have an awesome day. Thank you. Bye.